5 signs that appear before your best phase arrives. Freud and the process of internal transformation before personal fulfillment. You know when it feels like everything is falling apart. When you wake up confused, questioning everything you thought you knew about yourself. When relationships feel strained, and you can't shake the feeling that something fundamental needs to change. Here's what Freud would tell you. This isn't the end of your story. It might actually be the beginning of your best phase. Before we dive in, if you want to understand your mind and discover what Freud uncovered about human transformation, hit subscribe and the notification bell. Let's explore how your psychological crisis might be preparing you for breakthrough. Today we're talking about something Freud observed throughout his career. Great personal transformations don't happen overnight, and they rarely happen when we're comfortable. According to psychoanalytic theory, before we reach our best phase, that period of clarity, confidence, and authentic living, our psyche goes through an intense reorganization process. Think of it like renovating a house while you're still living in it. It's messy, uncomfortable, and sometimes you question if it was a good idea. But that chaos, it's not destruction, it's reconstruction. Freud believed that our mind has 3 main components: the ID, which wants immediate gratification; the superego, which judges and criticizes based on social rules; and the ego, which tries to balance these forces while dealing with reality. When we're about to level up psychologically, these 3 parts start fighting more intensely. The old balance isn't working anymore, and a new one needs to emerge. So let's look at the 5 signs Freud would recognize as indicators that your psyche is preparing for transformation. Sign 1. Profound emptiness and confusion. The first sign is a deep sense of emptiness or confusion about who you are. You might catch yourself thinking, who am I really? Or what am I actually doing with my life? This is an oppression, though it might feel similar. This is what Freud called ego dissolution. Your old identity structure is starting to crumble because it's no longer serving you. Imagine your ego as a building. For years, it's housed your beliefs about yourself, your values, your goals, but now you've outgrown it. The foundation is cracking not because something's wrong, but because you need a bigger structure. This confusion often hits successful people the hardest. You might have achieved everything you thought you wanted: the job, the relationship, the lifestyle, but suddenly it all feels hollow. That's because your unconscious mind is saying, this isn't who you really are anymore. Freud observed that this phase often includes what he called existential questioning. You start asking questions like, is this all there is? Am I living someone else's life? What do I actually want? These aren't signs of failure. They're signs that your psyche is ready to expand beyond its current limitations. Sign 2, increased internal conflicts. The second sign is an escalation of internal conflicts. Your ID, that part that wants pleasure, freedom, and authenticity, starts fighting harder against your superego, that inner critic that enforces rules and expectations. This shows up as constant internal arguments. Part of you wants to quit your job and travel the world, while another part screams about responsibility and security. Part of you craves deeper intimacy, while another part fears vulnerability. Freud called this intrapsychic tension, and he saw it as necessary for growth. When your mind is comfortable, it doesn't change. But when these internal forces clash intensely enough, Your ego is forced to find new solutions. Think of it like a muscle. Tension and resistance are what make it stronger. Your psyche works the same way. You might notice this as increased anxiety, restlessness, or feeling torn about major decisions. You're not going crazy. Your mind is literally reorganizing itself to accommodate a more authentic version of you. Many people try to escape this discomfort through distractions, endless scrolling, binge watching, shopping, or other numbing behaviors. But Freud would say, lean into the discomfort. It's information about what needs to change. Sign 3. Repetition of unwanted patterns. The third sign might surprise you. You start repeating patterns you thought you'd overcome. Maybe you keep attracting the same type of toxic relationship, or you sabotage opportunities just when they're about to pay off. Or you procrastinate on things that matter to you. This drives people crazy because it feels like regression. But Freud had a different interpretation. He called this repetition compulsion, and he saw it as the unconscious mind's way of bringing unresolved conflicts to the surface so they could finally be healed. Think of it like your psyche's way of saying, hey, we need to deal with this before we can move forward. These patterns often intensify right before breakthrough because your unconscious knows you're finally strong enough to face them. It's like your mind has been waiting for the right moment to show you what needs healing. For example, if you keep getting into relationships where you feel unseen, your unconscious might be trying to heal an old wound related to feeling invisible or unimportant. The pattern isn't punishment. It's an invitation to finally address the root cause. Freud believed that what we resist persists, but what we acknowledge and work through loses its power over us. SIGM 4. Natural distancing from people and environments. The fourth sign is a natural pulling away from certain people, places, or environments that used to feel comfortable. You might find yourself less interested in old friendships, questioning your career path, or feeling like an outsider in spaces where you used to belong. This is an antisocial behavior. It's what psychologists call individuation. Your psyche is creating space for the new version of yourself to emerge. Freud observed that significant personal transformation requires temporary separation from external influences where you're constantly surrounded by people who know you as your old self. It's harder to become your new self. This phase can feel lonely, but it's productive solitude. Your unconscious mind needs quiet space to reorganize without outside interference. You might find yourself declining social invitations, spending more time alone, or feeling disconnected from activities that used to excite you. This is an oppression. It's preparation. Think of it like a butterfly in a cocoon. The caterpillar has to dissolve completely before it can become something new. During transformation, isolation isn't avoidance. It's incubation. Sign 5, symbolic and vivid dreams. The fifth sign is an increase in vivid, symbolic dreams. Your unconscious starts sending you more frequent, intense messages through your sleep. Freud called dreams the royal road to the unconscious. During transformation periods, this road becomes a highway. You might dream about flying or falling, representing freedom or loss of control, being chased, representing avoiding something that needs attention, finding new rooms in familiar houses, representing undiscovered aspects of yourself, natural disasters or destruction, representing the breakdown of old structures, birth or death imagery, representing endings and new beginnings. These aren't random. Your unconscious is processing the massive changes happening in your psyche and communicating through symbols. Many people dismiss dreams as meaningless, but Freud would say they're your internal GPS system, showing you where your psyche wants to go. If you're having particularly vivid or recurring dreams during this period, pay attention. Write them down. Look for patterns. Your unconscious might be trying to show you something important about your transformation process. The Freudian solution, working with your transformation. So what would Freud suggest if you're experiencing these signs? First, write about your feelings and experiences. Freud believed that bringing unconscious content into conscious awareness was the key to psychological freedom. Journaling helps you see patterns and understand what your psyche is trying to tell you. Second, pay attention to what keeps repeating in your life. Those unwanted patterns aren't punishments. They're your unconscious mind's way of highlighting what needs healing. Instead of fighting them, ask, what is this trying to teach me? Third, consider professional help or deep self-analysis. Your mind is trying to liberate you from old limitations, but sometimes you need support to navigate the process safely. Remember, psychological transformation is messy, uncomfortable, and often scary, but it's also how we evolve into more authentic, fulfilled versions of ourselves. These 5 signs, the confusion, the internal conflicts, the repeated patterns, the social distancing, and the symbolic dreams, they're not evidence that something's wrong with you. They're evidence that something is ready to be born. Freud spent his life studying how people change, and one thing he discovered is that our best phases often emerge from our most challenging periods. The discomfort you're feeling isn't a sign that you're broken. It's a sign that you're breaking through. Your psyche is incredibly intelligent. If it's creating chaos in your life right now, trust that it's preparing space for something better. So, what do you think? Are you recognizing any of these signs in your own life? Have you ever gone through a difficult period that later turned out to be preparation for something amazing? Drop a comment below. I read every single one, and if this resonated with you, share it with someone who might need to hear that their struggles could be signs of incoming transformation. Remember, sometimes what looks like an ending is actually a beginning. Your best phase might be closer than you think. Until next time, keep exploring your mind. Freud would be proud.